My mission is simple, to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now. Hey, I'm Cramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Cramerica. Other people make friends? I'm just trying to save you a little money here. My job is to put this thing in context, and you're going to need it. Listen up. Call me, 1-800-743-CNBC. Tweet me, Jim Cramer. Bring on the tariffs. Enough already. Let's just disrupt everything. The president wants to do it. He wants to hammer Canada. He wants to hobble Mexico. He's all over Europe and Mercedes-Benz, VW, Lambo. Hey, Toyota, look out. Same with Nissan. China, forget it, Jake. Tough luck, Nissan. And Kia, see ya. Yep, welcome to Liberation Day, where America does to all of our trading partners like we did to the Redcoats in days of yore. It's time to make them pay. Teach them a lesson. Don't tread on me. Just begun to fight. Whether you think it's good policy or bad policy, it sure seems like Wall Street's gotten tired, worrying about it, and just says, bring it on. Although today, in some sort of weird reprieve, the Dow gained 235 points, S&P advanced 0.67%, and the Nasdaq actually climbed 0.87%. You know what? That's kind of like a joke. See, because that was before all the announcements after hours, and the trades after hours are painting a different picture, a horrendous picture. The one we had dangled in front of us since Election Day, the one that's finally here, and it's every bit as horrible for stocks as many of us thought it could be. But tonight, you know what? I'm going Mr. Brightside. I'm doing it because I think we'll be making too big a deal of these tariffs tomorrow, because we have been talking about how horrible they will be for ages, and regular viewers know that I've never been a huge fan of free trade. It would be fine if everybody plays by the rules, but we're the only country that plays by the rules. I want fair trade instead, which means tariff those who tariff us just as hard. Of course, I've been hoping for reciprocal tariffs, and that's what we allegedly got, even if they were far more severe than I'd hoped for. With reciprocal tariffs, we hammer specific countries for putting up specific trade barriers or subsidizing specific industries. While we got reciprocal tariffs, I never expected them to be this high, nor did many other people. From Wall Street's perspective, Trump might as well have used a meat axe, which is what we were most afraid of. The term reciprocal meant nothing in the end. The term punitive is more accurate. But again, we are going to make too big a deal of it. So in a few more days, we're going to have to start looking for things to buy. Ultimately, I think we've been looking at this president all wrong, though. This president turns out to be an equal opportunity hater. He doesn't care what these countries do. Ultimately, he thinks they can't really hurt us. Why? Because they don't buy much of our stuff anyway. So why not clobber them with tariffs and at least get some money out of them? The president's view is simple. Our so-called trading partners will either eat the tariff or the people who sell the product will eat the tariff. Companies will make less money. Foreign businesses subsidized by their home countries won't make any money because they're simply being run as make-work programs that dump the final product on us. And China, which has used every loophole to get into our markets, they'll be paying too, big time. As will any of our companies that sell in there, because presumably the Chinese will now hurt our companies. There you think Nike. There you think Apple. That's what's happening. We've been inured to this for months because the president has done it with such wrath. But his bite on Liberation Day turned out to be worse than his bark. It's confusing to most people because it was so poorly explained by the president. This morning, there was this terrific piece in the Wall Street Journal that talked about all the Chinese companies that moved into Mexico in order to use NAFTA as still one more way to get into our markets directly. If the president had told that story, I think we'd feel a heck of a lot better about what the heck he's doing. We don't really understand it. We just know it sends our stocks down. For months, we've been bombarded with stories from the mainstream media about how crazy this trade war in the rest of the world is. We've been told that the president's making enemies and angering everyone as if these countries really buy our stuff because we have these persistent trade deficits anyway. We've heard all about how these tariffs will slow down business and cause inflation to get out of control while closing America off from the rest of the world. But the president has not talked about how often Chinese companies are involved in the goods we buy. China's insidious octopus. They've burrowed into so many of our trading partners that if we hurt those partners, we're ultimately striking back at China, too. Of course, we're hurting Korea. Of course, we're hurting Germany. And of course, we're hurting Japan. See, remember, my dad used to be a middleman in the gift wrap business. He watched government subsidies Chinese mills wreck their American counterparts. Of course, he loved dealing with the Chinese in the end. They were much more accommodating than Americans. But you have to understand, this is about the damage that China did to these American factory towns. President Trump knows these stories like my father's well, and he's sick of them. This is a real problem, and our government's finally taking action, even if not everybody's going to like it. And by the way, it's going to result in much higher prices for the consumer. Again, Trump doesn't care. He sees bigger issues than a small hike in price for things, even if you and I think it's going to be terrible for the average consumer. He doesn't care. Let's talk consequences. The president has not said one word about investing in stocks during this period. He's not suckered you into this market. He hasn't told you to invest in America. He hasn't promised higher stock prices. He may have flinched when the S&P 500 was down 10% a couple weeks ago, but he follows the Dow much more than he does the S&P, and the Dow isn't even down that much from its highs. More important, because Trump doesn't seem to care about the stock market this time around, why should he care about certainty, which I've said over and over again is what makes investors happy? He's not trying to make investors happy. He's not all about happiness for us. He's about making these countries bend to his will. And if it causes inflation, then it causes inflation. He never promised you a rose garden stock market, and I sure didn't see one in the rose garden today. Not with huge tariffs on Taiwan that brings NVIDIA stock down. Not on big tariffs with China that'll hurt Apple. Not on the stocks of so many tech companies that will be crushed tomorrow, even as many of these companies are from countries that were trying to build things here to appease them. The appeasement plan didn't work. We keep asking, is it a clearing event? What the heck does that mean? What is Trump, a Trump put? What does that mean? We're missing the point. Yes, I want this over. Yes, I want clarity. I want some sense of how this can all end. But that makes me a fool like the rest of us. We keep thinking that's the point. That's not how Trump sees it. Here is the point. We should simply be looking at companies that cater to small, medium-sized businesses that can't be hurt by tariffs. We need to accept a higher level of inflation because it's coming. We should take out some money and put it on the sidelines, betting that this will end someday, even if we don't know when. But right now, we have to get with the program. And the program is taking down our trading partners and hurting bottom lines all over the place. He doesn't care. He demonstrated that tonight. So you better get used to it. Why is that his goal? Here's the bottom line. The stock market may matter to you and me. It used to matter to Trump. But that was then, and this is now. He wants to punish our trading partners for taking advantage of us. And he'll do whatever it takes to make that happen, even if it crushes our stock market and results in higher prices for all sorts of goods for you and me in America. If that's what it takes to get it done, he's going to do it. I say get over it, and we will work together to find stocks that no matter what Trump does, he can't hurt us, even as that universe grows smaller by the day. It turns out I was right. It really is the Walmart White House. Trump really does believe in everyday lower stock prices. Not in the supermarket, not in the cereal aisle, and not in the fruit aisle, and not in any of the aisles. Only these aisles, right here in the New York Stock Exchange. Paul in Ohio. Paul.
Booyah, Jim Cramer. How you doing?
How you doing? I'm doing well, Paul. How about you doing?
Not bad. Not bad, my friend. Hey, I'm a proud club member that would like to thank you for your advice and guidance.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm calling about the world's largest asset manager with over $11 trillion in assets under management. I'm calling about BlackRock.
Okay, BlackRock is doing incredibly well, and I read through Larry Fink's, the CEO's letter the other day. Oh, my God, it was just a great letter, and he's doing all these things that are really good for infrastructure that's going to make a lot of money for the people who invest there. But that said, it's an American stock. And tomorrow, President Trump has issued an edict, which is that your stock's going to go down. Now, he didn't really say so much in the edict. I do the interpretation. Patrick in New York. Patrick.
Hey, Jim. How are you?
I'm all right, Patrick. How about you?
Good. So as you're aware, Newsmax, they went public on the market on Monday.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, what is your opinion on Newsmax stock? And
okay, that's a good question. Okay, it's a meme stock. What does that mean? It means it's in control by a few people who write. A meme stock actually means that it's determined by social media. It's not determined by buyers and sellers of the traditional ilk. Social media was big on it yesterday, and it's turned on it today because we don't know what social media will do. It's therefore not predictable. It's no more predictable for me than who's going to win in a given game. And there's no line to help you. Jerry in Missouri. Jerry.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course, Jerry. Thank you.
Jim, with all the downtrodden stocks of late, I want to cut and run from this solar play, but it's so far down that any good news, I'm afraid, will make it outperform anything else. What do you think, Jim? Should I sell out and buy Capital One or hang on for any good news in phase?
No, sell out and buy Capital One. There will be no good news in phase because you know why? It's not a company that the president wants to see do well. It means nothing to him. Nothing. Since we still love the market, we're going to have to work together to find the fewer stocks that still work. It won't be easy to find because the president's made it tougher. He's got his agenda. We got ours. We both have to do our thing. Homemade money tonight. Is apparel stock PVH well suited for growth after this week's post-earnings pop? That's a kind of interesting red-hot griddle story for what's going on tonight. I'm going to break down the numbers and give you my recap. It is a good microcosm of what we're facing. Then, fresh off today's tariff announcement, I'm turning the charts to see what volatility could look like in the days ahead. We need to know about these things. And speaking of tonight's headlines, I'm checking in with private logistics company Flexport to hear how bad it's going to be. Stay with Cramer.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on X. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadMentions. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.